I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat, you should be worried about this, because this sets a precedent that it's okay that you have these conflicts.
Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and Senator Elizabeth Warren have made two very different cases for why the Democrats should push for the impeachment of Donald Trump. So before I even get to this, I do want to just address an argument that I know will be in the comments immediately when this video is posted about, oh, don't push for impeachment. It's going to excite Trump's base and it'll just distract things and we won't be able to focus on the actual issues for 2020 because the media will be too distracted. I get some of that, especially in terms of the media. But I mean, on one hand, that is the media's responsibility to not fall into that. But on the idea of exciting Trump's base, that you shouldn't go after Trump because it excites his base, this is the same kind of flawed reasoning that was used for years about why Democrats should be weak against Republicans. And it never panned out. I mean, Democrats were shown to capitulate again and again and again on policy issues, never really fight back against Republicans, and all that happened was that Democrats lost over 1,000 seats over the course of 8 years under Obama's presidency. Clearly, sitting back and being weak did not help the Democratic Party. So I don't know why people think it would be beneficial in this case if it didn't work before. But with that said, I want to show you these two arguments. So first, this is going to be Rashida Tlaib, who was on MSNBC discussing her resolution to move for impeachment of Donald Trump.
The resolution that I introduced, it holds the president accountable to anti-corrupt laws that are in the United States Constitution, because even prior to Mueller's report, before it came out, I think one of the things that I kept hammering down on is the fact that we have a president, in first time ever in history, that hasn't divested in his domestic and foreign businesses. Why that's important is to understand that when he makes decisions, when the president, the person that's in the Oval Office, makes decisions on behalf of the American people, it can't be in direct conflict with his businesses. And that's why you have the emoluments clause in the United States Constitution. So in the same breath that we have companies like T-Mobile, who wants to merge with Sprint, is spending, close to $200,000 at the D.C. Trump Hotel in lobbying the federal government at the same time, there are worries that is corruption, and that's some sort of way to what I call the upgraded version of pay to play into the corridor of power. I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat, you should be worried about this, because this sets a precedent that it's okay that you have these conflicts, that there is this corruption that's happening, and that businesses, and including foreign governments, can just go stay at the Trump Hotel and lobby our government to support certain positions.
All right, so I found this argument to be compelling because this doesn't focus on the Mueller report. So unlike Warren's argument that you're going to see coming up, she focuses on the Mueller report and obstruction of justice. Rashida Tlaib here is focusing on the violation of the emoluments clause. So let me give you a little more information on that. So this is from Vox.com. What the emoluments clause says: Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8 of the U.S. Constitution says, no title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of Congress, accept of any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind, whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. This is a very outdated prose style, but the gist of it is that the authors of the Constitution were concerned that officials of the U.S. government might be subverted by foreign powers who could offer them gifts, offices, titles, or emoluments, an old-timey word for compensation for labor or services. Now, this is going on currently with Donald Trump. So this reporting, this piece that I'm about to read here from Vox actually came before Trump vetoed the bill that would have ended the U.S. support of the Saudi-led war in Yemen. So let me first read this. Right now, we know from a random leak that the manager of a Trump hotel in New York attributed a business turnaround to the Saudi government's largesse, which, if true, would tell us something damning and important about U.S.-Saudi relations in the Trump era. But to ascertain how true it is, we would need more systematic information. So the Saudi government bought up a bunch of hotels, hotel rooms at Trump Hotel in New York. And what happened? A few months later, Trump vetoes bill to end U.S. support for war in Yemen. Politicians decried Trump's decision to continue U.S. involvement in it as a cynical move and missed opportunity for humanitarian help. So this bill, put together, by the way, by Bernie Sanders and I think it was Mike Lee, they passed this in the House and the Senate. Despite the fact that Republicans have a majority in the Senate, they passed this bill to end U.S. support of the Saudi-led war in Yemen. And Trump vetoed it. Now, is the reason he vetoed it potentially because of the Saudi government essentially stuffing Trump's pockets with money? I mean, this is the kind of thing that it's happening in front of our faces and on important issues like the war in Yemen. So is there going to be just no recourse for this whatsoever? You're just going to allow the Saudi government to stuff Trump's pockets with cash, buy up a bunch of Trump hotels, and then, it just so happens that Trump vetoed a bill, one of the few large bills here about war that would have ended the U.S. support of the Saudi-led war in Yemen. I mean, I think this is actually the best case. Forget the Mueller report. This, I think, is the best case to move for impeachment of Trump. Now, I do want to show you, though, Warren's case for impeachment as well, and I don't think she makes a terrible case. I just think Rashida Tlaib's case is better. But here's Warren's case that she made last night in a CNN town hall.
There is no political inconvenience exception to the United States Constitution. If any other human being in this country had done what's documented in the Mueller report, they would be arrested and put in jail. Obstruction of justice is a serious crime in this country. But Mueller believed, because of the directions from Donald Trump's Justice Department, that he could not bring a criminal indictment against a sitting president. So I think he's wrong on that, but that's what he believed. So he serves the whole thing up to the United States Congress and says, in effect, if there's going to be any accountability, that accountability has to come from the Congress. And the tool that we are given for that accountability is the impeachment process. This is not about politics. This is about principle. This is about what kind of a democracy we have. In a dictatorship, everything in government revolves around protecting the one person at the center. But not in our democracy and not under our Constitution. We have checks and balances, and we have to proceed here in a way, understanding our place in history, that not only protects democracy now, but protects democracy when the next president comes in and the next president and the president after that. But that's our responsibility.
So I think Elizabeth Warren here makes a great case as well. And actually, the idea of setting precedent is true in both the case that Rashida Tlaib is putting up, but also in Warren's case, where you have to, dictate what is and isn't okay for a president to do. Is it okay for the Saudi government to buy up a bunch of Trump hotels, have that financially benefit Trump personally, and then have Trump be able to veto a bill to end the U.S. support of the Saudi-led war in Yemen? And can you, in the case of the Mueller report, allow a president to obstruct justice, something that no average American would get away with, but you're allowing the president to get away with it? Is that a precedent you want to set for future presidents? Oh, sure, you can obstruct justice. Trump obstructed justice, got away with it. I guess that means any future president now can clearly obstruct justice, and they would have an argument to say, well, Trump got away with it, so why can't I get away with it? Now, let me lay out the case that Robert Mueller laid out that Warren was referring to there. This from The Intercept. Listen to Special Counsel Robert Mueller. With respect to whether the president can be found to have obstructed justice by exercising his powers under Article 2 of the Constitution, we concluded that Congress has the authority to prohibit a president's corrupt use of his authority in order to protect the integrity of the administration of justice, he writes, adding, the conclusion that Congress may apply the obstruction laws to the president's corrupt exercise of the powers of office accords with our constitutional system of checks and balances and the principle that no person is above the law. Got that? The special counsel, who listed 11 instances of potential obstruction of justice in his report and refused to exonerate the president, placed the decision firmly in your court. This is the impeachment referral you claimed you were waiting for. So it's laid out in the report. Mueller is passing this off to Congress. He lays out the 11 instances where Trump potentially obstructed justice, lays that out for Congress to then move forward to investigate that further if they want to, and move forward on impeachment. Now, look, I understand, everyone here understands that he would not be, there's no way Trump would be convicted in the Senate. So impeachment would likely pass because Democrats have the numbers in the House. They don't have the numbers in the Senate. We all get that. So this really is about setting a precedent. What is and isn't allowed. You have to be principled on these issues. So in both the case that Rashida Tlaib lays out and the case that Warren lays out, it's about setting a precedent. What is and isn't acceptable for a president to do, despite the politics. So regardless of how you think this may help or hurt Trump, none of that matters. This is about this case here. And it's about setting a precedent for future presidents.